Okay, good morning. Let's start. So last week we have covered password. Okay, so password is information we use for authentications. Okay. Through your normal daily life experience, you also know that there are other type of authentications, like for example using your fingerprint or using your some token like a card, student card, right, to authenticate yourselves. So they are different in a certain way, and we call them factors, different factors. Okay? So n-factor authentication is about having at least two different type of factors. Okay? So what are the factors that we have? Password is something we remember. So we call it something you know, something you know. Okay, we know password is something like PIN. Password is something that we remember. And also we may carry a security token, smart card like this one, smart card, and a mobile phone. Okay, sometimes we authenticated by presenting the token, right? The token. So and then biometrics is depending on who you are. Okay. So example is the mobile phone. Okay, in a mobile phone. How do you unlock the mobile phone? Okay, let me show. Okay, everyone have a mobile phone, right? Okay, this is a mobile phone. Okay, so it's recommended that it's a lock protected by password, so that anyone want to access the mobile phone has to be authenticated. Okay, so how do you get authenticated? One way is to key in the password. Key in your password. That is something you know. Okay. Another one is using your fingerprint, biometrics, or your face, right? That is who you are. Okay. And at least this one, the Samsung, okay, it allows another form of authentication based on the device the person carry. So for example, like I'm wearing a smartwatch, okay, when the device is near the smartwatch, then you don't need to get authenticated. I just have to swipe it and then it's unlocked. Okay, so this smartwatch become something you have. Okay. So Goldman, in the books, Goldman, he listed, or some other people also mentioned that there are other type of factors, like where you are. I mean, based on your GPS locations. Okay. And what you do, what are you doing at that point of times? Okay. And what is a two-factor authentication? Two-factor authentication means that to get authenticated, the person, the entity need to present at least two of these three. So for the smartphone, it's not two-factor authentication. To unlock it, I have to present this or this or this or that, right? For two-factor authentication is N. Okay, you have to present two. Okay, so either password, something you know, something you have, or who you are and something you know, or the other way around. The other options. Okay. So MAS, Singapore Monetary Authority of Singapore actually required all internet banking. Okay. To use two-factor authentications. Okay. So what is something you have? Okay, so this picture is in the ancient imperial China. Okay, so when the emperor, when the official carrier going around, then he want to say it's authentic. Then he carry this I don't know what this called, plate or whatever. Okay, so you present something you have. Okay. So, so the one we are familiar with is an ATM card. Okay, ATM card. And if you have online banking, you probably have this so-called OTP token. OTP token, right? So the OTP token is a piece of hardware. Okay, so it will generate a one-time password. Okay, the OTP is a one-time password. It's different from one-time pad. Okay. Then the one-time password can be only used once. Okay, and the token, the popular one is based on these two types. One is time-based. That means that when you press the token, your some number appear, the OTP appear, right? Okay, those OTP will only leave fresh for the freshness is a few, let's say a few minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, only valid for 2 minutes. So how is this done? Is that the OPT token, as a piece of hardware, it store a secret key inside. Okay, then it also have a clock. They also have a clock. So based on the clock, the time, and the password and the secret key, he generate the OTP. Right? Okay. So you base on the time, current time, okay, and the secret key inside, then generate a token. So let me maybe draw here. This is a token. So there's a clock. Clock is the time, and then the secret key. The server also have a key, right? And the server, of course, can also keep track of the times. Okay. So due to a synchronization problems, okay, so the time cannot be precisely accurate. So usually we allow a time window of, let's say, 20 seconds. Okay. And you may wonder, I believe you may wonder when you have a one-time the OTP, you are not allowed to, when the battery run out, you are not allowed to change the battery. There's no way for you to change the battery. Okay. So why? The reason is that if you change the battery, the clock will be reset. Okay. So that's why the manufacturer usually don't allow you to change the battery. Okay. There's another type is based on sequence based, but it's not very popular. That means that the first time you press it, you get a one-time password. Second time you press it, you get a different one. So it depending on the time when do you press the button. Okay. Then the both sides, the server and the token had to be synchronized. Okay. So example of two-factor authentications. Okay. One is to using passwords and mobile phone. Okay, mobile phone in some sense what you have. Okay. Then to log in, user present your password. Okay, you key in the password, send to the server. Right. You log in, you send a password to the server. Okay, after a password is entered, the server will send the SMS to the mobile phone. This is a mobile phone. Okay, and the user. So they read the on-time pad and then key in from the in the workstation and so on. Okay. Yeah. So this is two factors. One factor is what you know. Okay, and this one is what you have. Okay. So in the mobile phone, there's a SIM card. Okay, the SIM card is not clonable. Okay. And the other one is the OTP token, which I just mentioned before. Okay. So some OTP, I have a keypad. I don't know whether I've seen this before. I've seen it. It look like that. The OTP token will be like this, and there's a keypad here. Right, there's a keypad here. Okay, the DBS version have this keypad. Right, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the number will be displayed here. Okay. So this allows the user to key in some information to the token, and then the token will generate a different OTP. Okay. So now the question is, suppose you have OTP with keypads, and the OTP without keypads, where most of you have this OTP, and they only have a button for you to press. Okay. So we have these two different type of OTP. One is you just press, show you the OTP. The other one is allow the user to key in some figure, press, and then the OTP appear. Okay, so now the question, okay, or some exercise for you is to think of a scenario where this is more secure. Okay, so that means as we mentioned quite a few times, okay, how do you analyze or decide that a scheme is more secure than the other one? That means that you have to find an attack scenario. Find an attack scenario where if you use this, you can prevent, but if you use this, you cannot prevent. Same as the tutorial we have in this week. Okay, so if I come out a scenario, and then the attacks, and then if we have this with keypads, we can prevent the attacks, but not the one without the keypads. Then we say that the keypad is more secure than the non-keypads with respect to these attacks. Okay? Yeah. So right now it's very popular to have so-called soft token. Okay? Soft token is this. Instead of the bank send you the hardware token, so somehow you get a key, you get apps installed, and then this secret key in the hardware token is now stored in your mobile phone. Okay, so now in this case, the mobile phone in some sense function as your hardware token. So they call this soft token. Okay. So this is having this will cut costs for the bank because they don't have to send the hardware token, right? Cut costs and usability also. Then there's no question of battery run out and so on. Okay. But would this weaken the security? So intuitively, usually, if you want to cut costs or make it usable, there will be some weakening of security. Okay. And now, of course, the question is, if a user carry out banking transaction on using the mobile phone to carry online transaction, and with the soft token, can this still consider two factors? Okay. Some people say that yes, it's still two factors because you still have to key in the password, and still need to have the mobile phone, right? So it's still two factors. But some may argue that, oh, it's no longer two factors. Why? Because if the mobile phone is compromised, that means there's a virus there or whatever, then is a single point of failure. Okay, right? Okay, this one is very familiar. We are very familiar with. Okay, to go into the some place, you have to present your fingerprint and a smart card, or fingerprint and a password. Okay, so this is also two-factor authentication. Fine. Okay. So any questions? Okay. So we want to compare. Okay, some tutorial, or actually the tutorial question is not comparing two-factor authentication. It's comparing the display on the OTP, right? Okay. But we can also have this exercise. That means that I'm comparing the hardware token with the password, and the hardware token with the SMS. Which one is, password and SMS. Okay, and which one is more secure? So then the way to do it is to find attacks that one can prevent, but not the others. Okay. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. Okay. If not, let's go to the next lectures. We have 93 slides here, okay? So we'll not do it all in 2 days, okay? So basically, for the past few weeks, we've done encryptions. Encryptions is what we call one type of cryptographic primitives. Okay, in fact, we've done symmetric key encryptions. Okay, for today and next week, we'll do a few more type of primitive. basically is a private key cryptography, hash, key hash, and signatures. Okay. Today we'll do the PKC and hash only. Okay. So what is PKC, private key cryptography? Okay. This one is what we have done before. This is called symmetric key encryptions. In the symmetric key encryptions, somehow we assume that the Alice and Bob, okay, Alice and Bob, right, somehow know this key, K. Okay, that means that there is a secure channel to send the K to A, from A to B or B to A or the other way around. Okay, yeah. So the same key is used in the encryptions and decryptions. That's why it's called symmetric key. Okay. Is a private key, or also known as asymmetric keys, okay, use different key for encryptions and decryptions. Okay, it's very strange. Okay, so you use a key, so-called a private key, for encryptions, and then there is a private key for decryptions. Okay. So why is called private key and private key? But typically it's used in this way. It's used in this way. Okay. Alice is the owner. Okay. Alice generate a private key and private key. Private key and private key. So Alice keep the private key. So this Alice. Alice is here. Bob is here. Okay. Alice has a private key, so he keep it secret. Don't tell anyone. Keep it as a secret. But tell the whole world, broadcast to the whole world her public key. Public key. So for example, she can put it in the Facebook or in a name card. Have you received a name card with your public keys? So now some people, or they'll have a name card. They say that my PGP public key is this. Okay. So or you distribute your public key through name cards. Okay. So now let's assume, okay, Bob somehow get the public key. Bob knows Alice's public keys. So Bob has some message to send to Alice. So what would Bob do? Bob will encrypt the plain text, this message, using the public keys, using Alice's public key. Encrypt it, get the ciphertext, and then this ciphertext is then post on Alice's Facebook. Right. So now Alice can see it. So the whole world, okay, all the friends can see this ciphertext. Okay. So if Alice want to see the message, Alice take the ciphertext, decrypt it using her private key, and get the message. Okay. And anyone else, okay, who doesn't know the private key, including Alice's friend, will not able to decrypt it. Okay. So only the person who has the private key is able to decrypt it. And anyone with a public key can encrypt it. Okay. So that's why it's called private key and secret key. Private key. Fine? Yeah. So the security requirement, actually it's one security requirement. I don't know why I write two repetitive same sentence there. Okay, please remove it. Okay. So the security requirement is that given a public key and a ciphertext, okay, it's difficult to determine the plain text. Okay, the actual formulation is quite involved, so we just give a hand waiver a little bit. Just say that this is the requirement. Okay. So this requirement imply that from the public key, it must be very difficult to get the private key. Right. Okay. Otherwise, if you get a private key, you can decrypt it. Okay. This requirement imply that. Okay. Without this requirement, it's very easy to design asymmetric key or private key cryptography. Why? Okay, my encryption algorithm taking the secret key, the key, encrypt it. My decryption algorithm is exactly same as the let's say I take a AES encryption and decryption. Okay, encryption is using AES. Decryption, first you take the key and XOR and flip the bit and then decrypt. Okay, so you have a AES decryption. Let's say that this is a AES decryption, and this is a AES encryption. Before you do a encryption, you flip all the bit, okay, of the key. So in that case, the key used for encryptions is different from the key used for decryptions, right? So you have designed asymmetric key cryptography, right? Okay, so, but this will not meet the security requirement. Why? Because from the public key, it's very easy to derive the secret private key. You just take the key and then flip it and call this private key. Okay, so this private key is used for decryption, and the private key is used for, they are different. Okay, so there is this requirement. Okay, that is very difficult to get the private key from public keys. Fine. Yeah. So this is very useful. I guess 1231 use this as an example, right? CS 1231. So this is very useful. Why? Because that assuming that we have 5 people communicating to each other, we have 5 entity who want to communicate with each other. So to be secure, so these two had to establish a key. So if we are using AES or symmetric key, then I will need 5 choose 2 5 choose 2 keys, because 5 person I can form 5 choose 2 pairs, around, I don't know how many is there. 25 times 2, 10. Okay, 10 pairs. Okay, so it's a quadratic. Okay, so when n becomes large, this is a large number. Okay, yeah. So if in a public key setting, now everyone just had to publish their public key. So if A3 want to send to A2, A5 want to send to A2, A5 get the A2 public key, encrypt it, and send. Okay, and anyone who intercept the message without knowing the private key is not able to get the plain text. Okay, so in this case, you count. Okay, I only need 5 pairs of keys. Okay, it's linearly. So when the number of user increase, the number of keys linearly increase. Okay, as opposed to this one is a quadratic. Okay, fine. Although this is always cited as a main motivation of the public key, it turns out this is not the most important one. The most important one is this one, this part. Okay, this part. Okay. If we use public key, okay, we can even establish it even these two doesn't know each others. Okay, Okay, so for example, okay, now we have 5 persons. They publish their public key, and now another guy decided to come in here. Okay, he can join in the system anytime. Okay, he can get the public key, and then he can send to A2. Right. Okay. So, as examples, you visit a BBC, okay, .com, okay, using the browser visit bbc.com. There is some underlying authentication involved using public key cryptography. Okay, so if you want to visit bbc.com, okay, so in the first place, does BBC know you? Were you able to establish a key with BBC so that you can use symmetric key encryption? It's not, right? We can't. Okay, so public key cryptography made this very convenient. Why? Because BBC just had to publish her public keys. So now anyone who just come in, okay, can use that public key for authentication and encryption. Fine. Okay. So in fact, this is the, in my opinion, this is the most important requirement. okay, rather than the growth of size key. Okay. And PKC, the idea of having a PKC, saying that PKC is useful, was proposed by Diffie and Hellman. Okay, these two gentlemen here. Okay. This you should not confuse his face with the Lord of the Ring, the witch, the white witch. He's also look like that. Okay, so anyway, both are very smart guys, wise men, Diffie and Hellman. Okay, they propose the idea. They say that it's nice to have this scheme. Okay, but at that time they cannot realize it. They say nice to have, but they don't have a scheme that achieves that. And then a few years later, RSA, Rivest, Shermel, and Ettermans, they proposed the RSA algorithm in 1977. Okay, and then in the 2002, RSA, Rivest, Shermel, and Ettermans received tuning award. Okay, for the mainly because of this algorithm. Okay, and later on in 2015. Then the community think that actually Diffie Hellman is also contribute a lot. Okay, they come up with the idea, okay, of having this public key. So they are also being awarded the tuning award in 2015. Okay, so just a PKC can give 2 awards to 5%. Okay. And what are the popular PKC scheme? Right now, the 2 popular one is RSA, still RSA, and then there's another one called Algama schemes. RSA, to be secure, according to a NIST recommendation, the key size has to be 2,000 bits. Okay, Algama, the size depend on the underlying what they call elliptic curve. Okay, the groups. So if using a group, appropriate groups, the key size can reduce to 300 bits. Okay, so in some sense, Algama is more efficient. Okay, yeah. So today we will introduce RSA. Okay, I will not do the Algama. Okay, I will not mention Algama. So before that, for many PKC, public key cryptography, the data, okay, is represented as a number, as an integers. Okay, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so in the actual implementation, this number is to be represented using some bits, and very often we use binary representations. Okay, and our numbers is usually very large. It's like 1,000 bits numbers. Okay, so let's say that the number is represented by 110011110. Okay, here is 1,000 bits. Okay, and we will take this number, let's say call this number P, okay, and another number called Q. We'll do arithmetic on the number. That means you take P multiplied by Q or P plus Q. So that is a arithmetic of very long 1,000 bits multiplied by another 1,000 bits. Okay, numbers. Okay, so there's an arithmetic. Okay, so the total number of 1,000 bits integer is 2 raised to the power 1,000, which is a large number. So we cannot exhaustively run it. Okay, so you have to be aware of this. For example, you cannot write a program like that. You cannot write a program say that for I equal to 1 to P, do something. And P is 1,000 bits. So how long will this run? Okay, use the Singlish again, you have to wait long, okay? It will never end, okay? So you in the program or in the algorithm, you cannot have some for loop that go through all the numbers. Fine? Okay. RSA. Okay. RSA, we call this classroom RSA. Okay. which is what you learned probably in 1231. I think, I don't know whether you have go through the detail, okay, or in some courses. Is classroom RSA is for, in some sense, for amateur, okay. So in practice, we do not use this form of RSA because of some vulnerabilities. Okay, you have to do something on it, okay, which I'll mention later. Okay, yeah. In the classroom RSA, okay, there's a setup phase. Okay, so first you have to choose two large random prime number, choose two large prime number P and Q. Okay, then you multiply it, you get the n. N is called the composite. Okay, n, and then okay, maybe I use this slide, it's easier. Okay, yeah, maybe easier. Okay, so in the setup phase, okay, we will choose a P and Q. The owner will choose P and Q, and then from P and Q multiply them, you get n. You get n, right? Okay. After the owner get the n, he will randomly choose a number. Randomly choose a number, and he call it E. E. Okay. This number had to meet a requirement. Okay, which is GCD of E and n is equal to 1. Greatest common divisor of E and n is 1. Okay, basically he just means that in this case that E is smaller than n and E is not a multiple of P nor Q. Okay, yeah. So in fact, if you randomly pick anything, very likely that it's not a multiple of P and Q. Okay, yeah. So randomly pick something called E. Okay, and then this n and E is a public key. Tell the whole world n and E. Okay. The decryption key, the private key, is D. Okay. How do you choose D? Okay. I did not describe the algorithm to choose D. I just described the property of D. Okay. This D had to meet a requirement. What is the requirement? D multiplied by E modulo this number must be equal to 1. Okay, yeah, so it has to meet this property. I did not describe how to do it, just describe a property now, okay, right now. Okay, so now during the setup phase, choose 2 prime, get the n, randomly pick something called E, then find a D. What is this D? This D have a properties. D multiplied by E is equal to what? Modulo this number is equal to 1. Okay. This P minus 1, Q minus 1, okay, is you can just treat it as is, but it has a name. It's called Euler-Torsson function. Okay, yeah. So basically, if you want to know, it's the number of coprimes smaller than n. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Now, how to encrypt and how to decrypt? It turned out to be very simple. Okay, you take M. You want to encrypt M. M is a piece of data represented as a number. Okay, let's say 1000 bits data represented as a number. So the plain text is a number. Okay, you take M and raise to the power of E. Okay, encryption is E, right? You just say M raised to the power of E. Okay, and modulo N. Modulo N is find the remainder. Okay, modulo N. Okay. So then you get a number C. Suppose N is 1000 bits, C is also around 1000 bits. Okay, and then this sent across. Decryption, the algorithm is also the same. You take the ciphertext, raise to the power of D, okay, and modulo N. Okay, and it turns out that these two will be the same. Okay. On the left-hand side, okay, left-hand side, you raise to the power of E for encryption. E is a private key. Decryption, you get a ciphertext, you raise the power of D, then you get the plain text. Okay. So sound a bit magical, okay, but why is this true? Why is this true? Okay, the correctness. Why is this true? The correctness is, in some sense, quite obvious in some sense, okay, is that, okay, you look at the encryption and decryption process, okay. If I take a M, any message, I encrypt it and decrypt it, okay. I increase it, I raise to the power of e. I decrease it, I raise to the power of d. Right? So in the end, you will get m e multiplied by d modulo n. Okay, we can flip it. It's m d e modulo n. Okay, the correctness rely on these properties. Okay, the proof is optional, but let me just go through it. Okay, quickly go through it. Okay, is that there's a property. Suppose I tell you m this is equal to, under what condition, okay, is these two equal? Okay, under what condition m raised to the power x is equal to m raised to the power y modulo n? Okay, so a knee-jerk reaction is to say, oh, these two will be the same if and only if x is equal to y modulo n. Okay, but no, this is not true. Okay, you can do some experiment, take some example, you found this is not true. Okay, I'm asking a question, right? Under what condition where these two are equal? Because there's a modulo n here, these two are equal, right? Okay, for example, like 6 is equal to 16 modulo 10, right? Okay, so you raise to the power, so under certain condition, x, even x and y are different, these two are the same. Okay, so under what condition these two are the same? Okay, so there's a one fact is that this is this one. Okay, under this condition, if this condition hold, these two are equal. Okay, so it's what I've written here. Okay, and now what is D and E? D and E we are chosen in such a way that it is what? D and E is chosen in such a way that is equal to modulo this phi n is equal to 1. 1. Okay, D and E is equal to 1. So what this means is that after we get m e d mod n, okay, I can replace D and E by 1. 1. Okay, so this equal to m 1 mod n equal to n. Okay, so this is a simple proof. Okay, the actual proof is not required in this module. Okay, yeah. So this correctness or RSA, and okay, these are examples. Okay, so for example, P is 5, Q is 11, and N will be 55, right? Then P minus 1, Q minus 1 is 40. We randomly pick something. Okay, so as a public key, pick E equal to 3, then D equal to 27. Okay, I haven't mentioned how do I get 27 from 3, but I did say, we only said that D and E had to meet this property. What is the property? D multiplied by E modulo this 40 must be equal to 1. We confirm it. Yes, indeed, it's true. Okay. Then how to do this? There's an algorithm to do it using the extended Euclidean algorithms. Okay. Then you can find the multiplicative inverse and you can do it very fast. Okay. Yeah. So now suppose I want to encrypt m. Okay, I take m raised to the power e is 9 raised to the power 3. You use your calculator, you get 14. Right? Okay. I want to decrypt. I take c, which is 14, and raise to the power of 27 modulo 55. If you try to do this, you found that you'll get stuck. Okay? How do I compute 14 raised to the power of 27 modulo 55? You use your calculator, 14 raised to the power of 27. Will give you error message or whatever, okay, or approximation a floating point number. Okay, so how do I compute this very fast? I don't know whether you have done this in other algorithmic course. Okay, there's a way to compute this fast. Okay, is that I break 27 to the binary representation in this form, and then I do this, and then I get it. Okay, so there is an efficient algorithm that compute exponentiation very fast. Okay, and this is omitted. Okay, omitted. Okay, we assume that there's some way that we can do it. Okay, do you know how to do it? This guy. Okay, so the idea is this: you take m, I represent it as a binary representation. Okay, 2, okay, modulo n. So how do I compute this? As I said, okay, let's call this P, let's call this E, okay? You cannot write a program to do this. For I equal to 1 to E, then T equal to T multiplied by M, then T equal to 1. Okay, this algorithm is correct, but it will run for very, very long. Okay, you wait long. Okay, you will never appear because this is a very large number. Okay, so the idea they do it is to say that, okay, now if I look at this, if I can compute M, I can compute M squared very fast, one multiplication. If I get M squared, I can get M4 very fast, one multiplication. M squared multiplied by M squared, you get M4. You get M raised to the power 4 times M raised to the power 4, you get M raised to the power 8, and then N raised to the power 16, N raised to the power 32, N raised to the power 64, all can be done very fast. Okay, so after you have gathered a collection of all this, then you have a number, you have N raised to the power of, let's say 54, 68, okay? N raised to the power 68 is equal to N raised to the power 64 plus 4 is equal to M64 times N64. So you pick from here, multiply and negate. Okay, so this is the fast way of doing it. And this is not included in this module. Okay, this is just extra thing. Okay, yeah. Fine, yeah. So there's some property of encryption on decryption key of RSA, okay, which is very confusing. Okay, is that sometimes you can use the decryption key to decrypt, and then use the encryption key to use the decryption key to encrypt, and use the encryption key to decrypt. It will work also. Okay, like you look at here. Okay, if you use D here to encrypt, and then E, then you can use E to decrypt. Okay, yeah. Right, okay, so because it's symmetric, the design is symmetric. And it's very confusing. Why? Because of this, some books will say that use your public key to encrypt, like what we do here. Follow most books will do that. But some books, textbook will say that use public key to decrypt. Okay, so it's a bit confusing if you read books from different places. Okay, so be particularly careful about that. Okay, when you read document from other places, and this property only hold by RSA. Okay, other scheme like Algama will not have these properties. So there are some algorithmic issues that I did mention I mentioned just now. You look at the step here, the cell step. Okay, we have to find two prime number. We have to do this one, to do this one, and do this one. Okay. So the question is, how do we find it? How do we find it? So the algorithmic issue one is that how to find okay, let's do this one first. Step up. Okay, step one, the setup. We have to find random numbers. How do we find large random numbers? Okay, it turned out that the method of doing it is this: randomly pick a number, and then test whether it's a prime number. Okay, if it's not a prime number, do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Okay, and now the question is, if you do this, will it end up that you have to check many times? Okay, and there is a theorem called prime number theorems or whatever to say that there are many prime numbers. Okay, the number of prime numbers is like distribution is n divided by log n or something. Okay, in the range. Okay, so you try log n time, you will get some prime number. Okay, so this thing will work. Okay, and then there's a question of, if you choose a number, how do I know that it's a prime numbers? This is called primality test. Okay, it's also there's a fast algorithm to do that. Okay. Yeah. In fact, it took for many years, there's a way to test whether a number is a prime number probabilistically. That means that we test it, we know that very good chances they are prime number. We cannot be 100% sure that they are prime number. Okay, and only 10 or 20 years ago, then there are Indian professor, a professor from Indian, come out a deterministic way to test a prime number. So primarity test is a problem that have been bother the mathematician for hundreds of years, and then it's only able to do it, okay, in a deterministic way, okay, very recently. Okay, a probabilistic method, we will have a probabilistic method very long ago, okay. And then how to compute D, okay, so we can use extended Euclidean algorithms, and then how to do the encryptions, okay, exponentiation, we also have a way to do it. Okay, the prime numbers, we also, for prime number, we cannot choose any prime numbers. There are some prime numbers that is called weak primes, and some are called strong primes. To be secure, we have to choose the strong prime numbers. I'm sorry, we should not have this, as you'll see later. We will not do this. Okay? You will see later, you will take the level 4 crypto classes. Okay? They will tell you what is why some prime numbers are not good. Security of RSA, okay. So we can show that, okay, RSA is secure. Okay, I guess many of you have heard of it. Why RSA is secure? Anyone? Okay. So you may have heard, because factorization is difficult. Okay, yeah. Okay. So what is the factorizations? Okay, yeah. So you look at this one. Remember that I mentioned that for the scheme to be secure, okay, for scheme to be secure, okay, it's difficult to get the private key from the public keys. Okay, so if you are an attacker, you want to get a private key, what will you do? You look at the n is in the public, right? N is equal to P times Q. Okay, so if you are an attacker, you get the n, and you attempt to factorize it. That means that find the 2 prime factor from n, find the p and q. As an example, suppose n is 15. You want to find the 2 prime, which is from 15 you find 3 and 5. Okay, yeah. So given 15, you find 3 and 5. Okay. So now if you are an attacker, given n, this is what you would do. Okay. You will try to factorize it. After you get P and Q, then you know that from P, Q, and E, there is a very fast algorithm for us to derive the D. Okay, right? Okay. So now you want to find the D, you factorize it, and then from E you can get it. Okay. So as we know, or you probably have heard it, factorization is known to be a very difficult problem. You say, how could it be? 15 equals 3 times 5. You know how to do it. Okay. But what if this number is 1,000 bits? 1,000 bits. Okay, 1,000 bits. How would you do it? Okay. You say that, oh, I have an algorithm, very simple, for I equal 1 to n. Each of them I could test, see whether it's a factor. Okay. This is a correct algorithm. Eventually, you'll find a prime factor. But you have to wait long. Okay, it's too slow because for I equal 1 to n is a 1,000 bits number, cannot be done. Okay, so this problem have bothered the mathematician for many years, 100 years. Okay, and so far we cannot do it. Okay, and many believe that it's difficult problems. Okay, yeah, cannot be done. Okay, so factorization is difficult. Okay. So now the next question you ask, okay, is that if I'm an attacker, if I factorize it, then I can use E to compute it, to find the D. Then as an attacker you think, why I must factorize it first? Maybe I have another method that can skip the factorization part. Directly from N and E, I get the D, but yet I do not know how to factorize. Right? Okay. As an attacker, you have to think out of the box, right? Okay. So maybe I don't need to factorize at all. Okay. From N and E, I can get D. Okay. For this, okay, we have a proof. to show that, okay, if you can get D, you can get factorized. Okay, you can get D, you can factorize. So that's why, after I say that, it can be shown that the problem of getting the RSA private key from T is as difficult as the problem of factorization. Okay, because if you can factorize, you can get a private key. If you can get a private key, you can factorize. So the difficulty of these two problems is equivalent. Fine? Okay, yeah. So these two are equivalent. Now as an attacker, you have to think out of the box. Who said that I must find the private key? Okay, because my interest is to find the plain text. Okay, given the ciphertext and the private key, I want to find the plain text. Okay, maybe I'm able to find the plain text without knowing the private key, but I'm happy. Right, you look at the padding oracle. Padding oracle, we found the what? We found the plain text. But using the attack of padding oracle, but are we able to get the secret key? No, but we don't care. Right? Okay, we may be contented with finding the plain text. So that's why, okay, now there's a question of, I want to find the plain text. Okay, is this problem as difficult as factorizations? It turned out that the whole community trying to prove that they cannot prove it. Okay, so they cannot prove it that finding the plain text is as difficult as factorization. So the community invented a problem called RSA problem. Is this? From the ciphertext and private key find the plain text, they believe that this problem is difficult. Okay, so in a certain way, you put it in a certain way, RSA is secure because we assume that it is secure. Okay, we assume secure in this aspect. Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. Still on factorization. Okay, how fast can we factorize? Okay, there's some algorithm to do it. Okay, and right now we can factorize in 700 bits in 2009. Okay, so we can factorize. Okay, so that's why the security need to be 1,000 bits or 2,000 bits. Okay, and very fast. You probably have heard of quantum computer. Quantum computer can factorize and perform discrete log. Discrete log is another problem in polynomial times. And then in 2001, a 7-bit quantum computer was built. They spent millions of dollars to factorize 15, which is 3 times 5. Okay, so 7-bit quantum computer have been built to factorize 15. Okay, yeah. Now the question is, can we have a 1,000 bits quantum computer? Okay, so this is a holy grail. Everyone is trying to push for it. Okay, we have a research lab all over the world, Google and IBM, right? Okay, they're trying to build a quantum computer. Okay, but so far no one have succeeded in building a quantum computer that able to factorize, let's say, 1,000 bits or 100 bits. Okay, and many scientists believe that it cannot be built due to some fundamental hurdle. Okay, but either way, okay, if they can build, RSA is broken and other private key also broken. So this motivate the community to come up another new private key cryptography that is safe under quantum computer. Okay, that's called post-quantum cryptography. Okay, post-quantum cryptography, the encryption scheme is secure even if you have a quantum computer. Okay, yeah. So let's skip this. Okay, so same as symmetric key, some padding of is required, some IB is required, and RSA has some property, and then we need to destroy that property to prevent the attacks. Okay, so this how do we destroy it? This is how things is done. Okay, basically you take a random number. Okay, from this random number hash, we are going to do it. We generate a very long sequence, and and then we XOR the plain text, and the actual value is Okay, yeah. Well, at this rate, I will not able to finish it, so I go faster. Okay, yeah. So I've evaluated a lot of FYP project, okay, and very often you have a student to do this. They are in their application, they can use AES, but they do not want to use AES. They use RSA to encrypt. AES is a symmetric key. RSA is a private key. So how do you do it? Okay, you take the private key and private key as the key, right? So you can also use RSA in the symmetric key sense. And then typically when the student do that, then I'll say, okay, now put a cross. So do not do that. Do not do that. Okay. So why do not do that? There are two reasons. One is efficiency. Is that see the reason a lot of time students say that is that RSA is provably secure and very cool and mathematical properties. Okay. But there are many reasons not to do that. One reason is efficiency. Okay. RSA or private key cryptography in general are very slow, 1,000 times slower. Okay, 1,000 times slower. And then, as we mentioned before, it's not clear that that is more secure than AES. Okay, in fact, I mentioned that in some sense it's not more secure, right? For example, under quantum computer, if you have quantum computer, you can break RSA, but quantum computer cannot break AES. Okay, so if you want to use a public key to encrypt a large file, how do you do it in that sense? In this case, how do you encrypt it? So we don't use the RSA, apply RSA to the full 7 GB data. So what we do would be this. We randomly pick a key, AES key, encrypt the AES key using RSA. And next, using the AES key to encrypt the file. And this one is the final ciphertext. Okay, so the receiver, okay, let's say that who know the private key, he can decrypt Y to get the AES key and then decrypt the large file. Okay, so this is how it's done in practice. Okay, this one done. Let's don't have the break, okay, because a lot of students prefer to end earlier, right? Okay. So now we go to another primitive. Today we will only do the hash. Okay, what is a hash? Okay, a hash function take a very long message, arbitrary long message. Okay, hash it and get what we call the digest. Sometimes people call it checksum, but over here let's call it digest. This digest is fixed size. For example, 160 bit. Okay, this can be 7 GB, 100 GB, 1 TB, arbitrarily long. You hash it, then you get the fixed size checksum or digest. Okay. There's something very important here, is that the hash algorithm is known to everyone. Everyone knows the algorithm. And there is no secret key involved. Okay, so I put 3 things here. Okay, there's there's a mental block, okay? Cannot go over this, okay? Don't know why is this possible. Why no secret involved and still possible. Okay. In this case, there's no secret key involved. All algorithm is known. Everyone knows the algorithms. Okay? Yeah. So this is a hash function. In our module, we are interested not in the hash function, we are interested in something what we call cryptographic hash functions. So this hash function is different from the hash function you learn in programming courses. Like you want to compute a hash table and things like that. Okay? Why? Because there is a security requirement, which I'm going to mention later. Okay? There's security requirement. Okay? And there another version called key hash have a secret key, and this one will do it next week. Okay. So to understand hash function, let's go straight to the application. Maybe easier to explain hash function using an application. go straight all the way to here, this application. Okay. You may have done this, right? You go to a website, let's say this is a website of VLC. You want to download the VLC for Windows so that you can watch a movie or watch this lecture. Okay, yeah. Now it's webcast. Okay, yeah. So you need a video player. So you know that VLC give a very good video player. So you go to the website, okay, and then click on this and download it. Okay. After you download it, okay, let's say Alice. Okay, not you. Okay. After Alice downloaded this software, it's an exe file. You run it, and at the point that Alice click run, Alice probably has something come into her mind. Oh, is there a virus in this file? It's going to execute the file. Is this a malware? Right? Alice will have this thing in mind, right? Okay. So we have to make sure that this file is authentic. What do you mean by authentic? It's really coming from the company that developed VLC. That company is a Video Lens, this company. Okay. So at least go back to the website, okay, and look at it. This website, this browser, we'll look at this browser. We are using HTTPS. All right. We'll do it later, okay. Right now we assume that HTTPS is secure, in the sense that whatever content displayed here, indeed is coming from an organization called this one. Okay. Right now we make this assumption. Okay. Next week we'll do it. Okay. If it's HTTPS, okay, because certificate there's a padlock here, green padlock, and so on. So whatever display on the browser, indeed is coming from this organization called videolens.org. Okay. So at least feel safe. Whatever display here is safe. Okay. And then at least also look at the file. When you click the file and downloaded it, the file is actually hosted in a third party, another website. Okay. So this Alice. This is a VLC videolens.org. So Alice using HTTPS, go to VLC, whatever information displayed here is correct. And then you figure out that actually this file is downloaded from a third party, another website. Okay, going through HTTP. Okay, no S. Okay, so you go there, you click a link, this one redirect to this one, the file is downloaded from here. Okay, so now whatever display here is correct. Could it be the case that there's an attacker here who changed the file? Or could it be the case that even the person who holds it put a malware inside? Okay, so what can we do? Okay, so the file downloaded is may be modified. Okay, so the practice, what we do right now is this: we follow this, but although not many people follow the procedure, okay, is that you look at over here, there's something over here, there's information here. Okay, you can zoom it in or in your website. Okay, it described, say that this is the SHA-256 checksum, which is called digest, is this number. So to be assured that this file is not modified, what Alice should do will be this. After the file is downloaded, Alice compute the checksum of the files, the downloaded file, and then compare with this number. If it's different, that means that something is wrong. Okay, if it's the same, then with high probability, the file is coming from the VLC. Okay, so there's this extra step here. Okay, so You look at the picture, it's something like that, right? So Alice, okay, downloaded a files, right? And downloaded. And compute the checksum, okay? And check it whether it's the same as the checksum displayed on the website. Okay. So you look at this carefully, you found that actually there are two channels or two pieces of information Alice obtained. One piece of information is the files. Second one is the checksum. The file and the checksum. The checksum, because it's displayed on this web browser, Alice very sure that it's correct. Okay. So in other words, the checksum is obtained through a secure channel. Right? Okay, Alice get the checksum, very sure it's correct. The checksum is obtained through a secure channel. But the actual file that is downloaded is not through a secure channel. The attacker may be somewhere around here, right? There it will be. So there is an attacker here. Right, okay. Okay, yeah, so make it a little bit more evil. Okay, yeah, so there is an attacker here. Okay, right, attacker here. Okay, so then how do we prevent it? Okay, we prevent it like this way. So Alice, after obtaining this through a secure channel, this one not secure, I want to check whether the file being modified, compute the hash, the checksum, get a very long string of number, and then compare the one whether this is the same. If it's the same, then likely to be the same. If no, then it's a difference. Okay, so this is what we're supposed to do. Have anyone done that before? No. I also didn't do that. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So this so there's a purpose of this checksum. After you see this, now you look at yourself. Okay, suppose indeed you are this person. You are this person. You know that Alice get the checksum through a secure channel, and yet you want to inject malware into this file. What will you do? What will you do? Okay, you still want to give a virus infected file to Alice, and you can control this channel. Okay, so what will you do? You know that you cannot control this. Okay, so Alice will get the checksum securely. So what you have to do is to get this original file F. Okay, maybe modify here, modify there, or put in some random number here or whatever. Okay, and put in the malware here. The malware here. Okay, and so that what? So that the checksum is the same as this one. Right? This is your job, right? You're an attacker, you want to do it. Okay, I know that I know the file, I know the checksum. Okay, so I want to find a malware, okay, whose checksum is the same as the one get by Alice. Okay, so you are an attacker. Okay, so this lead to our requirement, right? So we say that, okay, so this is what we call a collisions. You want to find a collisions. Okay, these two files are different, okay, but they collapse. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this lead to motivate the requirement of hash. Requirement of hash is to be collision resistant. So let's go back to the same slide, first slide. Okay. What is the requirement of hash? The requirement of hash is this. Okay. It's very difficult for an attacker to find two things that hash to the same digest. Okay, it's difficult for an attacker to find two different messages, M1, M2, such that these two hash together. Okay, so this motivates the requirement. Okay. If this is very difficult, then there is no way for an attacker to do it, to find a virus that hash to the same thing. Okay, fine. Yeah. So one thing to note is that because this is very long, this is very short. Definitely, mathematically, okay, there will be collisions. There will be a lot of collisions. Why? Because it's very long. Okay, in CS 1231 you learn this. By what principle you have collisions? Pigeonhole principle. By pigeonhole principle, you know that there's collisions. Okay, so collision is there. The security requirement is that we know that there's collision is there, but it's very difficult for someone to find it. Okay, that is a security requirement. There is collision, but very difficult to find it. Okay, is there a secret key involved? There is no secret key involved. There's no secret key. So algorithm, everyone knows the algorithms. If you know the algorithm, will you be able to find the collisions? We're going to make it very difficult. Then you say, hey, why so difficult? Okay, I just write for I equal to 1 to n is 1000 bits. Then I check whether there's a collision. Since definitely there's a collision, I will find it eventually. Okay, then you are right, the algorithm is correct, but as I mentioned again, you have to wait long. Okay, this simple for loop will not able to find it when this size is large, this 160 bit. Okay, you are not able to find it. Okay, yeah. So from collisions, there is another requirement called one way. Okay, collision imply one way. This will be in the tutorial. Okay, so many of you may have heard this. Hash function is one way. It's not invertible. What do you mean by that? I have a hash here. You give me an x. Okay, you give me an x. Given the x, find a y. Find the input that has to x. This is a one way. All right. So this is computing the hash. Right now, I want to invert it. I want to compute the other direction. Given x, I want to find a y such that it has to x. Okay. So this requirement is called one way. Okay. And this requirement is implied. It's implied by the collision requirement. Okay. So in the tutorial question, we'll do it next week. Okay. Is on something called security reduction, a proof technique in showing that this requirement is an implied requirement of another one. Okay, yeah. And how do you find collisions? This leads to an attack we call birthday attacks. Okay, birthday attacks. So we say hash is to make collision difficult. Then how do you find collisions? Okay, one way is that you randomly pick two things, two messages, check whether they collapse. If not, you repeat it again and again and again. Okay, this is one way to do it. Right? You have to find collisions. So you choose two things, choose two hash image, and check whether they collapse. Okay. If not, repeat the process. Okay. Because the digest is 160 bit, you randomly pick two and see whether they collapse. And what is the chances that you hit it? The chances will be 1 over 2 raised to the power 160. Right? You randomly pick two people, two data, hash them, assuming because it's being random, then what is the chances that these 260-bit digests are exactly the same? 2 raised to the power 160. Right? Okay, because this, the probability that the first bit is the same is half, and then this one is half, this one is half, this one half, then you multiply all of them together is 2 raised to the power 160. Right, okay. Right, you choose two things, two digests. Okay. What is the probability that these two are the same? Half. What is the probability that these two are the same? Half. What is the probability that these two bits are the same? That is half multiplied by half. Right, okay. So then you go on, then it's 1 over 100, 2 over 160. Okay, very slow. then it turned out that this is one way to find collisions. If you do this method, just randomly pick two tests, you found that the number of tries, number of tries that you have to do expected so that you get a hit is what is around 2 raised to the power 160. Right. Okay, it's like 4D. Did anyone buy 4D in Singapore lottery? Okay, they are 4 digit, right? 4 digit. What is the chances that you will get it right is 1 over 10 raised to the power 4. Right? You buy a 4 number, what is the probability that you get is 10 raised to the power 4. Okay? And you do it, how many times you have to do it so that you are expected to get it? You have to buy 10 raised to the power 4 tickets. Okay, expected, so that you can get the prize. Right? Okay? So this method will take this so long. Okay? But it turned out that there is a simple method, there's a method that is faster, which is called birthday attacks. Okay, so have you heard that before? This is a story, the birthday paradox. A teacher go to the classroom and say that a classroom of 25 persons say that there exists 2 persons having the same birthday. And then the class don't believe, then they bet. Okay, then it turned out that among this class of 25 persons, the chances that having a pair having the same birthday is very high. Okay, yeah. So let's calculate the probability, right? Okay. So the way that I view this is very simple. Okay. Suppose you have a class of 25 persons. Okay, 25. These are 25, right? How many pairs can we form? How many pairs of students can we form? It's 25 choose 2. Right? 25 choose 2. Okay, just an approximation. It's not exactly equal. It's roughly within some constant factor of 25 squared. 25 squared. Okay? Or anyway, if you want to calculate 25 choose 2, you can calculate the value. Okay? The value is 25 times 24 divided by 2. Anyone able to give me this number? Okay, let's say that it's 400. Okay, 400. Okay? From a group of 25 students, I can form around 400 pairs. Okay? For each pair, what is the chances that they are having the same birthday? 1 over 365. Right? From 25 persons, I form 400 pairs. Each pair have this probability 1 over 365 of having the same birthday. Well, the chance is very low. Okay, but how many pairs do I have? I have 400 pairs. Okay, so intuitively, 400 is bigger than 365. I have a good chances that among these 400 pairs, one of them have the same birthday. Okay, so this is one way to see it. Okay, so it's a quadratic improvement. Okay, right? So it's a n squared. Okay, it's 25 squared. Okay, so in the tutorial question, I can do it now. There's one tutorial question is that we know the pigeonhole principle, right? From pigeonhole principle, our head have how many hairs do we have? We have at most 10,000 hairs. Okay, or 100,000. Okay, one person has 100,000 hairs. Okay, so how many hairs do you have? Have you counted? No, but everyone have different hairs, number of hairs, right? And Singapore, we have 4 million or 6 million populations, right? Then by pigeonhole principle, 6 million versus 100,000. So definitely there is 2 persons in Singapore having the same number of hairs. Wow. Is this surprising? Right, we have by pigeonhole principle, 6 million versus 10,000, 100,000. Okay, yeah. But, okay, by this birthday paradox, even better. Okay, in SOC, SOC, we have how many students? Total, I don't know, let's say 1,000, okay? Okay, more than that. Okay, 4,000, 3,000 students. Okay, among these 3,000, by Prism-Hall principle, we cannot say that, conclude that there exist 2 students in SOC having the same number of hairs. Okay, but by the probabilistic assumption, okay, with very high probability, okay, we have 2 students in SOC having the same number of hairs. Okay, so a very rough estimation will be this. You just take 3,000. Okay, 3,000 squared will be 9 million. 9 million is much more than, because for 3,000 students, I can form 100 pairs, around 9 million pairs. Each pair, what is the probability that having the same number of hairs? 1 over 100,000, but I have so many pairs. So very high probability. The chances is extremely high. Okay. And the actual formula, okay, is this. Okay. So if this one is more than that, then with chances more than 0.5, you have a pair of messages having the same value. Okay, this is the actual value. Okay, take a look. And the actual probability is this. Okay, you can go through it if you like. Okay, so what is the implication of this? Okay, the implication of this means that this to find a collision, anyone, no matter how you design your hash algorithm, you will be subjected to birthday paradox attacks. Okay, so the implication is this, that if you look at the recommended key length of NIST, when they recommend the key length for symmetric key is 112, they will say that for the digest, the hash, it has to be 224. 224. Why? Why is twice larger? Okay, he said that for symmetric key encryption, if you want to have a security 112, for the equivalent of the hash, it has to be 224. Okay, why? For symmetric key, we are assuming that this amount of computation is infeasible. You want to attack a symmetric key using exhaustive search, this is a number of computation. So we say this secure is on the assumption that no one is feasible to carry out 2 raised to the power of 112. Okay. Now if you talking about a hash with digest length 224 to carry out the birthday attacks, okay, how long will it take to require to do it? They take in fact it's a square root. Okay, so it's a 112. Even digest is a 224. To attack it using birthday attacks, you have to exhaustively do 2 raised to the power of 112. 112. Okay, that's why for the hash, the requirement is usually double. Fine. Yeah. So we have this. Okay. We have 5 minutes more than. Let's see, what should I do? I think I'm able to finish this, okay? So let me do this one, okay? We have done this in tutorial, tutorial 1, first tutorial, right? We say that there's a walkie-talkie system, okay? You cannot run in real times. Now, the guy want to do in real time, he keep big tables, okay? So likewise, okay, over here. Oh, sorry. I think I don't need to do this because there are some historic thing I have to mention. Then we finish it. Okay. Okay, but actually those you can go through. You just read the notes, should be easy. Okay. Yeah. So popular hash is SHA, SHA1, 2, and SHA3. Okay. SHA0 was published in 1993, and then it's 160 digests. But it's broken by become SHA1, okay, and the problem is that SHA0, okay, to find the collision, right? To find a collision because it's 160 bit, using birthday attacks, you have to run something like 2 raised power 80 to find the collision. Okay. But then someone figured out that there is a way to do it in 2 raised power 61. Okay. This is using birthday attacks. But someone found that if there's some loophole there, that you are able to find a collision faster than 2 raised power 80. You can do it fast using 2 raised power 61. Okay. And because of this, then people start to panic. Okay. So they then started to get a new scheme. Okay, new scheme, which is a SHA 1 and 2. Okay, and 2. Okay. And the Wang Xiaoyun in 2005 also okay. So this is for SHA 0. SHA 0. Okay. Then you have a SHA 2. SHA 2. SHA 2 is secure. Okay. But then someone found that you are also able to break it on partial SHA 2. That means that the full SHA 2 run how many rounds? 64 rounds, right? 64 rounds. If you did not use 64 rounds, you are able to find a collision very fast. Okay. And so, in 2005, even better is that Wang Xiaoyun found that in Shandong University, you can use SHA 1 using 2 raised power 69. Okay. Because of all this, NIST call for proposal. They call for proposal, okay, for SHA 3. Okay. So then there's a competition, people submit proposal, then they attack each other, and in the end, in 2012, there's a winner. The winner is SHA 3. SHA 3. Fine? Yeah. So SHA 3 is believed to be secure, okay? Can be used for hundreds of years, okay? And the method, the attack by Wang Xiaoyun is 2 raised power 69. It's theoretical. At that time, he said, "Oh, I have this method, I can do it." Okay, but at that time, there's no, they are not able to find collisions. But about 2 years ago, okay, they found a collision, okay, on SHA 1. Okay, using some computation time, a large computation time, they will find it. After they found the collision, they, as a demonstration, a proof of concept, they find 2 PDF files. These are 2 PDF files, okay, that are different, but having the same digest. Same digest. Okay. There are other hash called MD5 by Rivest. Okay, MD5 cannot be used. Okay, this one is broken. Okay, it's broken. Okay, fine. Okay, next week we will do the key hash and signature, and also talk about the rainbow table.